I'd like to invite you to settle into this time together by enjoying our prelude from Hans. Thank you, Hans, as always. Before we begin with the content of our service, I want to pause for just a moment to tell you that today's Sunday service is all about anger. And we know that anger is an emotion that can be really complex. We know that anger is related to power, and that our anger and how and whether it is expressed or allowed is often related to systemic power and privilege. We know that anger can feel or be dangerous for many reasons, many of them in the end related to the harm of supremacy systems like patriarchy and white supremacy. We know that personal experiences of harm, violence, or abuse may deeply inform different folks' feelings and experiences about anger. And so today we'd like to invite you to pay close attention to the experience of your body and the needs of your heart throughout the service. If you feel yourself activating in ways that don't feel safe, please take a break. If you find at some point that you need to leave to protect your well-being, that is easier than ever in the online format. And I particularly in that case invite you to reach out to me for pastoral care. I can be reached at minister@uucomo.org. If you experience discomfort but not danger, that might be a feeling to lean into for a time, or you may decide otherwise. In the end, I'm really grateful to serve a congregation that holds one another tenderly in heart across every status and state of heart, and that listens carefully to our own inner wisdom. And I invite you to do that today, as I hope you do every Sunday. So let us enter this time and space together now with a call to worship by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. We carry our hearts with us, tucked or tender, bold or bursting. We bring them with us, set ourselves down into this circle with our hearts still beating, curious, craving. Some beaming with life and joy and gratitude, others hanging heavy with grief, anger, or regret. Whichever way they pull, they are ours, these hearts, shaped by the stories of our lives, our comings and goings, losses and victories, the ways we keep trying to make sense of it all. Whatever the shape of your heart, it is welcome here. Be not afraid of judgment being not enough or too much. Be not afraid to bring your whole self, torn and weary, wondering and whispering each day with more urgency. Come on, life, come on. We need more for all of us, more life abundantly. And so come, let us worship together. We begin with a gathering hymn adapted from the Sufi Persian poet Rumi, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. It will be led and around on video, and we invite you to sing along from home with all of your hearts. And April, can we try one more time? We're not hearing the audio. Thank you all for your patience. We're going to work on the video sharing situation. We're going to try this one more time, and then if it doesn't work, I will lead you in song right here. All right, let's sing together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Lisa Degg writes, why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine of celebration and dedication. The flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing, healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So it may be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home. You may now wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. As we light our chalices, the symbol of our faith, at home or digitally, will you please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. My Facebook memories this past month have all been from the Supreme Court nomination 2 years ago. And apparently that was a very angry time for me. And I had a memory come up this week where I posted, I don't know whether or not to rage or cry tonight. And a friend trying to be helpful responded, neither. You should meditate or practice your favorite form of self-care. To which I responded, raging and crying are my favorite form of self-care. While there can be toxic or abusive expressions of it, anger and rage and fury are natural, healthy, inevitable feelings of the human experience, but it is a feeling we are often told to suppress, most especially for people with marginalized identities. So for our centering today, I want us to have the opportunity to sit with our anger and to let our anger move through us. However, we all have our own experiences, histories of trauma and mental health conditions. So I want to make sure that we all take a moment to reflect on whether or not we are in a time and a space where we feel like we can sit with our anger in a way that is safe for us and safe for those around us. So if you can just take a moment to do a little self-inventory on that. If you feel like this is not something you can participate in, this is going to last about 7 minutes, 7 minutes and 12 seconds to be exact. And so you can step away or mute the service until that time. But for now, let us all take a moment to feel anger within us and how that moves through our body in a meditation that Stan Buffalo did an amazing job putting together.
Call up in your imagination something that makes you angry. Perhaps it is something you have experienced. Perhaps it is an injustice that exists in this world. Whatever it is, pay attention to your anger. Don't try to hold it back. Just watch as it stirs and awakens in your body. Feel the heat in the skin of your face and scalp. A prickling in your eyes. A clenching of your jaw, a quiver in your throat, a balling of your hands into fists, a tightening in your chest. Feel the building sensation in your belly, strong and insistent. Feel as it radiates outward, as every nerve begins to feel electric. Feel the energy rising in your body so that it can no longer be ignored. A feeling that should not be ignored. Calling you into readiness, into action. Feel it like a holy fire, burning away that which holds you back from taking action. Your complacency, your hesitancy, your sense of propriety. What do you need to let the fire burn away? Let the fire blaze up and let your anger illuminate. Let it illuminate your power. Your anger is not your power. It only makes visible just how vast your power is in both its sides. Your sacred power to heal, to love, as well as your power to abuse, to harm. Let anger make you aware of both and look at them unflinchingly until you truly know them. Let the fire of your anger illuminate further still to what lies at the very center of your rage. That which you hold most dear, that which you value, that which you most want to protect. What is the deeper truth at the center? Like a mama bear protecting her cubs. Feel the fierce love that lies within your anger. Let that love join with your anger now. Let it surge through you. Gather that which you love into your heart with the tightest embrace. Whisper to it your most tender words and most fervent vows. Let your anger carry you back to your love. Continue to hold tight to that which you love and begin to let your anger dissipate. Let the energy settle. But let the love continue to surround you, to soothe you. Let your muscles relax. Let your breathing become steady again. And even as you return to how you were before, remember. Remember what anger has shown you. Remember your power. And remember your love.
I think if I had percussion accompaniment to my life, I would get to dance out my anger a little bit more regularly. Thank you, Sam and Jamila, for that. Now is the time in our service when we hold all of what it is to be human, and we remember that we are holding it together. We hold one another in heart amid life's joys and sorrows and angers and fears and hopes, now and always. In just a moment, I'll invite those of you gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. I have 2 prayers for our world. First on this National Coming Out Day, let us join our hearts in celebrating with our LGBTQ members, neighbors, loved ones, and friends, and give thanks for the fullness of every precious life, love, and story that make our community and our world more whole, more beautiful, and more full of sacred potential. Also, let us pause on this holiday weekend that some mark as Columbus Day, and that I choose to remember instead as Indigenous Peoples Day. Let us pause to remember the Native American lives lost from European colonization, the damage done by settler colonialism, and the ongoing genocide against Indigenous Americans. I'd like to now invite your prayers and joys and sorrows in the chat. I'll read aloud as many as I can, and let us hold them together in this community of the fullness of human life. We join our hearts with Steve and Joan Mudrick in sharing that they met 52 years ago today. Joy. We join our hearts with Barbara Carter, who shares happy birthday to her. Happy birthday, Barbara. We're so glad you were born. We join our hearts with Andrew Twaddle, who shares sorrow that their minister at the Midcoast UU Fellowship has held her last service with them. We hold that community in care. We join our hearts with Dottie in sorrow for a friend in Appleton, Wisconsin, who has COVID and is being taken off of life support today. We join in so much love for his wife and daughters and all who love him, sending wishes of peace. We join our hearts with Tonette, who asked that we keep her son in our prayers as he totaled the car last night because an 8-point buck jumped in front of him. Here's hoping that he's all right. We join our hearts with Barbara, who shares that there has been continuous anger since 2016, always there under the surface, and gratitude that nature and friends and family can temper it. We join our hearts with Jeremy and Tracy, who ask that we hold their friend in love as she accepts her daughter home to receive treatment for stage 4 cervical cancer. We join our hearts with Katie, who starts physical therapy for their back on Wednesday. We join our hearts with Sophia and Tobias for a friend turning 11. We join our hearts with Barb, who shares sorrow for all the wildlife suffering in wildfires. We join with all our community who celebrate those in our community celebrating joys. These things and so many more we hold together in our hearts, tending to one another across the distance. I'd like to continue in the spirit of prayer with a prayer for Indigenous Peoples Day with the words of the Reverend Sunshine Wolf. We are here on land we did not create and that no one can really own. We are here because generation after generation of people committed to life. We are here, the product of sun and rain and earth. We are here, inheritors of the best and worst of all our ancestors gave us. Here we are, taking responsibility for our world, action by action, word by word. Here we are, the embodiment of responsibility through action and word, of thousands upon thousands of lives we will never know. Here we are, interwoven, a piece of the earth, the sky, the ancestors, and the harbingers of those who will call us ancestor. Here we are, broken and whole, wholly broken and unholy broken. We are here, and here we are, permeable pieces connected, grateful for every strand of life, from the core of the earth to the dust at the edge of the universe, to each and every being. May all of our ancestors, from the smallest microbe to the largest ecosystem, live in us and beyond us now and for generations to come. Amen, and blessed be. Let us now join together in singing from home a hymn, What Wondrous Love Is This? Oh my soul, oh my soul. Here it is.
Useful Anger by Stephen Schick. A good anger swallowed clots the blood to slime. Marge Piercy. But what is to be done with it? This anger that dare not be swallowed. Should it be diluted with denial, cooled with indifference? Should it be sweetened with good intentions, softened with lies? Should it be spewed out red hot over searing tongues, scorching the guilty and innocent alike? What's to be done with it? This anger that dare not be swallowed. Don't dilute it, deny it, or cool it. Don't sweeten or soften it. But pause for a moment. Could you hold it before your eyes? Examine it with your heart and mind. Could you hold it? Then touch it to your belly, that place where your soul rests. Could you let it enter there knowing it is the part of you that needs to be treated kindly, that needs to be listened to, that needs to be honored? For it has the power to save you, to save us all.
Hi, my name is Jane Wong, and in the video I am playing the second movement of the Charles Marie Widor Suite for flute and piano. Thank you.
Last week, I made a terrible mistake. I was cleaning up the dining room after dinner when I came upon a series of dried up, misshapen lumps of Play-Doh on the floor, and I swept them into my trash pile and moved on with my evening. In the morning, my 4-year-old came into the dining room for breakfast. Her eyes fell to the place on the floor where the dried up Play-Doh lumps had been. Where is my village? Uh-oh. Do you mean the dried up Play-Doh? I asked. I threw it away. I'm sorry. I braced myself. Her fury was swift and fierce. She screeched. She pulled out a basket of toys and dumped it on the floor. She growled. She threw wooden blocks from the basket at the shelf. She pushed over a chair. Finally, she flung herself to the ground, sobbing. Her rage passed through her like a storm, and after a while, it gave way to the sorrow that she held for the creation I had unknowingly destroyed. I sat down next to her on the floor. Do you need a hug? She climbed into my lap, all big red eyes and blotchy cheeks. After 5 minutes of sniffles and cuddles, she asked if she could have some yogurt for breakfast. And after breakfast, she set about remaking her little village. About 1 in 20 tantrums, I managed to watch with curiosity and without my own buttons being pushed. This happened to be one of those times when I remembered that my job was just to stay nearby, helping to keep her safe, to let her feel her big feelings, and to be there for the hug when the anger gave way to the hurt just beneath. 3 days later, I found myself thinking about my daughter's tantrum, how it raged through her and faded away. I thought about it as I stomped around the kitchen, banging pots and pans together in the sink, slamming the refrigerator drawer, and muttering very creative curses under my breath. I was ostensibly annoyed at my spouse, James, about something trivial, but that little annoyance tapped into deep wells of unspent rage. Patriarchy and the way it controls my body and will, white supremacy and the way it eats my humanity, the way the president is killing us and lying and not caring, the way the economy is killing us and celebrating its profits, the freaking coronavirus, all my needs going unmet, all the limits life is pushing me past. Ooh, I had enough mad to cover it all. Slam, stomp. Poor pots and pans. Poor James. It has been a long time since I was 4. And I'm not so good anymore at letting the anger just pass through me like a storm. I'm really not so good at giving way to the sorrow and hurt and love just beneath. I grew up as a woman in a world that teaches women to swallow their anger and metabolize it into a smile, to poison themselves with it until it comes out in bent pots and pans and stomach aches and bitterness and damaged relationships and muscles always tensed to fly. I grew up learning to swallow my anger and metabolize it into a smile. And these days, I'm just about ready to spit it back out into the face of the supremacy systems that demand my feelings be controlled. I want to move through my anger unchecked, to find the need that is lurking beneath it and the love, the frustrated vision there of the world as it could be, all the heartbreak that lives right next to our power and that fuels us to change. In her poem, A Just Anger, Marge Percy writes, "Anger shines through me. Anger shines through me. I am a burning bush. My rage is a cloud of flame. My rage is a cloud of flame in which I walk, seeking justice like a precipice. How the streets of the iron city flicker, and the dirty air fumes. Anger storms between me and things, transfiguring. A good anger acted upon is beautiful as lightning and swift with power. A good anger swallowed clots the blood to slime. A good anger swallowed clots the blood to slime. And how is your blood moving these days, my dear ones? Our emotions, especially the hard ones, can feel very large and frightening. Our supremacy cultures make some of our feelings dangerous to express, especially for those who are most marginalized. But anger is not inherently harmful. Our emotions are not dangerous unless we fail to pay attention to them and move them through our bodies. It is only when we do not attend to them that they will either overtake us or become stuck. When anger gets stuck, it clots into bitterness and scorn, and in the end, hate. And of course, if we're not paying careful attention, anger can also overtake us in ways that are violent, dangerous, or harmful. But at its heart, anger is, as the womanist thinker Audre Lorde writes, full of information and energy. It can move through us in ways that are protective, clarifying, powerful, focusing, and energetic. A good anger acted upon is beautiful as lightning and swift with power. But how do we tell? How do we tell which anger is righteous and well-directed and clear? And how do we cease this habitual repression safely? Perhaps simply by paying better attention. In his book, Love and Rage, The Path to Liberation Through Anger, Lama Rod Owens, a Black liberation activist and Buddhist teacher in the Tibetan tradition, suggests that first we must become conscious of our anger so we don't use it subconsciously for harm. Then he suggests that we practice giving our anger lots of spaciousness. And then through mindfulness meditation, he suggests that we take care of it. I love this image of taking care of our anger, which I'm guessing Lama Rod might have heard from the Zen Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Hanh has written that when anger comes up in us, we should begin to practice mindful breathing right away. He writes, breathing in, I know that my anger is in me. Breathing out, I am taking good care of my anger. He writes, we behave exactly like a mother. Breathing in, I know that my child is crying. Breathing out, I will take good care of my child. When anger arises, continue to embrace tenderly the energy of anger within you. Anger may continue to be there for some time, but you are safe because the Buddha is in you, helping to take good care of your anger. Han coaches us, breathing in, I know that anger has manifested in me. Hello, my little anger. And breathing out, I will take good care of you. Reading this lovely passage from Thich Nhat Hanh and feeling ashamed of my own grown-up tantrum in my kitchen the night before, I realized that I need to treat my fury the way I had nurtured my tantruming 4-year-old. That is, to give it a large, safe space where it wouldn't hurt anyone, to feel it fully, even if it got very big, and to be ready with tenderness and reflection as it faded. Do you need a hug? To understand what hurt lay underneath. Hello, my little anger. I will take good care of you. What would it be like, I wonder, to say that out loud the next time you are furious? Probably it would feel ridiculous, but would it change things? To say it before you push the anger down or before you let it overtake you entirely. Hello, my little anger. I will take good care of you. The thing about taking good care of our anger is that if we don't, it will come out sideways. And things are always more harmful on a slant. Anger that is not cared for easily turns hard and bitter to resentment and eventually to hatred. We see this untended anger all around us, coming at us. And it is right to fear the hardness and the bitterness, the resentment and the hatred and the violence and destruction that untended anger can bring. But perhaps it is not the anger itself that we need fear. Anger that we care for shows us what we love and where our boundaries are being crossed. Anger cared for can pass through us like a storm and leave us with clarity and power. Anger only becomes dangerous when it is not greeted with our awareness and care. Audre Lorde writes, "My response to racism is anger. I have lived with that anger, on that anger, beneath that anger, on top of that anger, ignoring that anger, feeding upon that anger, learning to use that anger before it laid my visions to waste for most of my life. Once I did it in silence, afraid of the weight of that anger. But my fear of anger taught me nothing. Your fear of that anger will teach you nothing also." She writes, "It is not the anger of other women that will destroy us, but our refusals to stand still, to listen to its rhythms, to learn with it, to move beyond the manner of presentation to the substance, to tap that anger as an important source of empowerment." Hello, big anger. I will take good care of you too. There are so many reasons to be enraged right now. Generations-long violence against communities of color, queer folks, and women, all the political and intimate ways we are controlled and lied to, harmed by policies or outright violence. There is hypocrisy and greed and gaslighting everywhere we turn, especially right now. It's enough to send you spinning into a rage that never ends. It's enough to burn you up from the inside. Maybe you are feeling the exhaustion of that never-ending burning. So here's what I want to invite you to try with me. The next time the fire flares up, tend it. Breathe through the adrenaline spike. Feel what that power is like in your body. Try to notice where it pools and how it can be used. Let the storm pass through you with tender awareness, holding it safe. Then tell someone about it or write it down. What are you mad about? List it out and take your list deep and deeper still. I'm mad you didn't do the dishes, but actually I'm mad that there is so much pressure on our time right now, and I feel like I have to do the dishes now when I really need to rest. But actually I am mad that our family is so pressured right now to work two full-time jobs and somehow still take care of household needs without adequate childcare in the middle of a global pandemic. And I am mad at the ways the government has failed to support families, including ours. And I am mad about the internalized patriarchy that hints that the dishes should always be my job anyway, because women should take care of the hard stuff. And I am mad deeper and deeper. And in the end, I'm hurting. and my heartbreak is tangled with what I most love, and it is right next to my power for change. Tend to your anger. Look at your list and talk with your person. What does your anger tell you about what you are loving and protecting and what you are needing? What does it tell you about the ways you are being called to remake the world? That is where this raw energy needs to go. But we can only ever get there by taking care of our anger enough to understand it. In her book, See No Stranger, Sikh activist, artist, and leader Valerie Kaur writes at length about the power of what she calls divine rage. Divine rage is fierce, disciplined, and visionary. It is the fearsome wrath of Ekajakti or Blue Tara when she fought demons in Tibetan Buddhist legends, or the fury of Jesus when he overturned the tables of the money changers in the temple in Christian scripture. She writes, the aim of divine rage is not vengeance, but to reorder the world. It is precise and purposeful. It points us to the humanity of even those who we are fighting. This divine rage that she's talking about is rage that has been metabolized into compassionate power instead of a smile. She writes, perhaps our task as human beings is to find safe containers for our raw reactionary rage, and then choose to harness that energy in a way that creates a new world for all of us. We begin by saying, hello, big anger. I will take good care of you. I will learn from you about the power of my love and the tenderness of my wounds and the ferocity with which I want something better for all of us. Hello, big anger. I will create a safe space for you to pass through like a storm. I will cradle you against my belly. And I will collect the energy of your winds and rain as I turn toward my kin, and as together we set about remaking the world. Hello, anger. We will take good care of each other. And I'd like to invite you to sing a song together. We are a gentle, angry people. This was written by Holly Near in the 70s. The lyrics are going to come up on your screen, and Jeremy and Hans will lead us. I invite you to join in singing from home. We are a gentle, angry people singing for our lives.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing
Now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear and scarcity all around us, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting one another that we feel most human. This morning's Faith to Action collection is for our own Honduras ministry team. We'd like to welcome Allie Gassman to say a bit about the ongoing work your gifts will support, and then we'll invite you to give as generously as you are able. Be sure to select Faith to Action on our online giving form or write it in the memo if you mail in a check. Allie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. My name is Allie Gassman, and I have been the UUCC Honduras Ministry Team Coordinator since 2009, when we took our first service trip to El Pital, Honduras. We actually got back from our 5th trip to Honduras to build latrines this January, shortly before the pandemic hit us. Several years ago, when there was a political crisis in Honduras and when things, including the rural health system, got even more dysfunctional than they had been before, the Honduras ministry team started sending $400 per month to the clinic in El Pital. In the slides, you will see it is the Blue House. With the monthly guaranteed payment, they can buy desperately needed basic medical supplies. The Faith to Action collection money from today will go towards keeping up the monthly payments to the clinic. Something the community has been dreaming of for many years is installing air conditioning in the clinic. This would help the upkeep of equipment, help medications stay useful longer, and provide relief from the heat and humidity for those who may need respite due to health concerns. It would also help in keeping out mosquitoes and other harmful critters. So some of today's contributions may also go towards that long-term goal. And in the meantime, if you would like to help out and if you would like to learn Spanish online, our Honduran partner Cito and his wife Kayla are available for Spanish conversation classes. Please contact me if you would like to learn more and if you would like to channel your anger in positive, constructive ways and you would like to join us, please contact me as well. Thank you so much for your gifts today. And I just want to say over these last years, the community has suffered under leishmaniasis outbreaks and dengue fever outbreaks and more. And what we send over every month has been actually life-saving. Please know that you're appreciated beyond measure by our friends and their neighbors of the Rio Cangrejal River Valley in Honduras.
Thank you, Allie. And everyone, I invite you to give generously by following the link in the chat and selecting Faith to Action to make sure that your collection will go to the Honduras Ministry team. This morning, we have a very special piece of music that Jeremy has selected for our offertory, and he wants to give you a few words of context before we play it.
Good morning, everyone. So like Molly said, we have a very special piece this morning. The piece is titled Anthem, and it was written by E.J. Harrison in the winter of 2015 and performed by youth singers in the spring of 2016 following the protests on campus. And the piece begins, and I want to issue a content and trigger warning for anyone who hate speech, and specifically racial hate speech, would be triggering. To mute the video for about a minute, and I'll give a wave a minute in, because it does start with, I believe, 16 lines of hateful speech that was heard by EJ while he was walking through campus, following the threats and in protests in that piece. But it is, the hate is eventually drowned out by peace, and is it's a moving piece. So I want to warn everyone that there is yelling, and there is anger, and there is hate speech at the beginning of the piece, but about a minute in, that begins to be drowned out by our singing. So thank you all, and this is Anthem by E.J. Harrison.
Thanks for stop warning about racism already! The election! I repeat, the election swastika!
College is there to teach you, not make you feel warm and fuzzy.
There's no racism in Mizzou, and the administrators who reside are two babies.
Oh, shut up!
Thank you, Jeremy, for making sure that we encounter that incredibly powerful piece of art. Our closing words are from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Even now, you are not alone. We are with you across the distance. Go in blessing, dear ones, and be a blessing to a world that needs your care. Let us sing our benediction.
Now leaving one another, may we give of hand and heart. Let us share our benediction, lovingly before we part.
Thank you all. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. It was so good to be together. Our service next week, we are having a pulpit guest all the way from Massachusetts, taking advantage of the opportunities that online worship brings us. Her name is Reverend Aisha Ansano. She's going to be preaching about the use of anger for liberation organizing and justice work. I hope that you will please join us next week for our pulpit guest, Reverend Aisha Ansano. And I'd love to see you now in coffee hour. The meeting ID is on the slide. There's going to be the link is there in the chat, and we'll look forward to having everybody gather and check in with one another and see each other's faces. Take care, everybody.